Good evening. Been a while since I've been live. I think the last time I was live, I was doing Spirit Talk. Which, by the way, I have some news on that front. Whoa, 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 whoa. That happened the my phone decided to have a spaz out moment. Running good. Okay. Just checking because I got nobody in chat yet. So I need to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. So tonight's little adventure is going to be doing where is it? This one. Or is it that one? No, it's that one. So I am actually going to be putting a link in the description when I upload this to YouTube. I'm going to be putting a link in the description to the 3D file off of Thingiverse that I got this from. So I know not everybody will have a 3D printer. So I'll give a little bit of kind of like a breakdown of how you could do this in different ways. So you could cast this out of resin by using like some sort of sphere mold that you can get, say, on like Amazon, or you know, take a look at Michael's. I know Michael's has some, or even your local hobby shop. Or you could make it out of, say, like styrofoam. For example, you know, I have a bunch of these little things that I was working on, and they were actually for one of my, what do you call it? My little holder that I have on my tools and stuff in. And so if you took like a piece of styrofoam and you stacked it on top of each other and you made it, you know, round, glued it all together, and, you know, shaved it round, using like either sandpaper or what's the other things? I have like a file set that would actually be good for this, or you could use like an entire sphere, a styrofoam sphere that you would get at like a hobby shop or a craft store or something like that. But for those who may have a 3D printer, or if you're interested in getting into 3D printing, I will go ahead and put the links to where I got these from. It's off of Thingiverse, I believe. But I saw it and I'm like, oh my god, that's gonna be a perfect thing for the live stream. So that's what I wound up doing, is 3D printing this, and you might be able to actually hear the 3D printer going in the background. Let's see, yeah. Got some little doodads still sticking out, some of it. So I never actually wound up putting this together. Originally I was gonna, you know, I had a bunch of them, you know, made out. And originally I was gonna put one together before I did the, as I throw it, before I did the live stream, because I wanted to see how everything went. But then I was like, you know what? No. Let me do this live in front of everyone. Then you guys can see you know, the process that I take when I am working on a project like this. It's kind of like it's a raw way of you guys seeing some of the more polished videos that I'm going to be putting out. And I figured that it would make for some good content because you guys will be able to see this from start to finish. And so I know that I had said in our YouTube, not on YouTube, but on a Facebook post, I had said that this is going to be split up in 2 segments. That is because this piece actually has electronics in it. And so it has, for the face, you know, in here where this goes. So this goes in here. And, you know, obviously it goes in the other way, but just to show. So this is what it will look like when it's finished. And this button you'll actually be able to press and it'll light up. And I could put like more electronics in it. Like I could put lights on the insides and stuff like that. Which I don't think I've decided if I'm going to do that. I might just do this without the lights. But that's neither here nor there. So, let's get started here with this. So, I'm going to have to sand this. And the way that I do it is start at start at 2. 800, 600, 1500, 1200. I need to go with that, but so what I think I'm gonna do is, oh, you know what? There was something else that I wanted to say. So if you do wind up getting a 3D printer, so I have had exposure to 3D projects through my entire, like, basically high school career, using both CAD and Revit and, you know, all of those like Autodesk products. I think I even dabbled in 3D Max for a while, which is also another Autodesk product. And so when I first stepped onto the scene of 3D printing, I was like, well, you know, it can't be too much different than doing CAD work, you know, doing 3D work on CAD. And I figured out very quickly that I was very, very wrong. And what I mean by that is when you are working in 3D and you're doing, you know, say a standard sphere like this, you're doing a standard sphere, you don't just think about the sphere as a 3D object. You actually have to think about how the printer is going to print that object. And with the way that my printer works, so it's a resin-based printer, and what it does is it creates these, you know, little itty-bitty, see them? I don't think you'd be able to see them. Let me see, maybe one of these other ones have. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it makes these little itty-bitty layers, and those layers stack on top of each other, one on top of the other. And what I have since figured out is that it's not just about the 3D print itself. It also goes into you know, how the printer stacks it, where you're going to put the supports to put this through the printer. And it's like that in and of itself, like it's tapped into more than I ever thought that it would. I really, when I got into 3D printing, I thought that it was just going to be boom, boom. You know, you had the experience with AutoCAD and things like that, and so it's like using. I thought it was literally going to be just that, and no. I was very, very wrong on that front. And I also wanted to show. So this is another set that I'm working on that I'm going to be giving away to some friends that are very into Pokemon, but one of these had a thing on it that I really liked to show you guys, and it was just because when this will show, you know, when the printer is going through its 3D steps and it's breaking down the 3D image into a layer system, if you don't put enough supports on, you can wind up messing up your print. I can't figure out which one it is. Oh, okay, this one. So if you look fairly closely here, let me try to get you guys a little bit closer. So if you look, you can kind of see this area here is a little it's not symmetrical. It's not flat, which is the way it's supposed to be. And that's because when I printed this, instead of printing this upside down like I should have, I printed it going this way. And so I got a really nice smooth outer shell, but when the print finished, there was just not enough supports around the area to be able to hold this in order to keep the edges from dipping. And so that's why I got kind of that bad edge, where it's not flat, it's, you know, dented in a little bit. And so that's just like that really is a good example of why 3D printing doesn't just go into just the 3D aspects. Because like I said, I had plenty of experience on 3D prints. Well, not 3D prints, but 3D, real world 3D when I was in school. Because I was using, you know, AutoCAD, I was using Revit, InDesign, and that was kind of like that. Like I said, I had that mindset of, oh, you know, I have 3D printing, you know, 3D experience. I know how AutoCAD works. I know how all of these other things work. Let me just jump right into it. And so, like I was saying, so yeah. But it was like, when I was printing these out, I had probably 3, 4 failed prints that were just absolutely horrible. Like, they were completely, I wasn't able to fix them at all, period. And that really, that stunk, you know, because that goes into wasting some resin, that goes into, one second, guys, I'm gonna get you guys a little bit of a better view. Okay, so yeah, so what I would start with, so if you wind up doing the 3D printer way, and you have either of these printed out, you know, I know that there are some places, like in my area, for example, that you can actually pay to have a company do 3D printing for you. Too big. 1 second. So, sorry. So you can have 3D prints done for you. And before I got my 3D printer, when I had decided to do the craft channel, I had actually looked into that. And then I figured, after a little bit of researching and things like that, for me personally, it was not really economical to go and do or have the prints made for me. But like, if you're definitely, like, if you're not sure what you want to do, if you aren't sure that you want to, you know, invest into a 3D printer, I would definitely see what's around you. See, is there someone that could do 3D prints for you? Or is there a more of a need or want to have your own 3D printer? And I have an Anycubic one, which I gotta say, I and this isn't sponsored. My channel isn't barely even off the ground, so I don't have any sponsors. So, but I love them. Their printer prints so smoothly. Once you really figure out how to operate the printer, it prints really, really smoothly. It fairly few mess ups once you really figure out what you're doing. Once you learn how to do the supports and things like that. And so I found that I am in love with 3D printing. So I have a feeling I'm probably going to be using it a lot because of that. But it's definitely a good idea that if you don't want to invest in the 3D printer, because I think my 3D printer as an entry-level one, I think it was like $250, which, you know, it's a lot of that seems like a lot of money. But in the world of 3D printing, that's actually fairly good. I think I got mine on sale off of Amazon. But Anycubic, awesome company. I had a problem with my printer not that long ago, and come to find out, it was a problem caused by me not paying attention. But Anycubic went ahead and replaced the pot anyway as a courtesy to me, which, you know, I can't rave enough about them. So, but off of the 3D printing stuff. So, if you wanted to make this, you could make it out of like a sphere styrofoam. You could cut the sphere in half. You could hollow out the inside. You could make it out of, you know, foam core or foam board and stack them, you know, one on top of the other, and make it so that you can, you know, then cut that in half, you know, straight down the middle, round it, and like if you have a rotary tool would be perfect if you were going to go into the realm of using foam core for all of that. Ellie, there's nothing there. So, 1 second. Oh, where was I? Okay, so sanding. This is going to be a lot of sanding. So if you look here, you can see kind of like the pitting. And that's just left over from the 3D printing process. I could have printed it this way on the inside so that it printed it printed the supports in here, but I wanted the outside of this, well, the inside smooth. And the reason that I wanted it smooth is because when these pieces fit in, I need it to be completely symmetrical in order to make sure that these pieces will fit one on top of the other. So I have some sanding to do, and this pitting here is left over from the 3D printing process. Oh, thank you. I love. I actually have to go and get them done. I have to get a fill in soon. I was actually meaning on doing it today, but it snowed and I didn't feel like going out. But yeah, so some of that pitting is just from the 3D printing process, because the way that I printed this one, I had it print so that it started from the top and worked its way down. And I had the supports on the outside, just to make sure that I had the interior completely done and done right. Because the last thing I want to do is have to fight with a 3D printed object to get it to fit one on top of the other, because I've tried to do that once, and if it's not perfect, then that's not going to happen. So I start with about 220 grit, and then I'll work my way up to probably about 8 to 600. And the reason for that is because when the printer is printing and it prints in those tiny itty bitty layers, when you sand and then you go to put the paint on afterwards, if you don't go up the ladder as far as sandpaper goes, what you're gonna find is that you're gonna see those layers in your print. And like, if you look at this, I don't think you guys can see it. So if you look fairly carefully, you can see the printed lines. And I figured that out the hard way after I had spent, a good amount of time spraying that sculpture, and was like, oh my god, the lines are still showing up. Why? They're not supposed to. Yeah, that's because I didn't go down to the right amount of grit. So, but this project is going to be split up into two parts. So there's going to be electronics that's going to go into this later on down the road that will take care of the lighting. So I don't know if you were able to see, because I had said it in the beginning. There's this little button thing, and it lights up, and it's to make the centerpiece. So this is my reference that I'm going off of. There's this centerpiece here, and so that's what centerpiece. Yeah, there it goes. So that's that centerpiece, and there's a ring light all around it, and the electronic components are to light the ring up. Well, I think I'm also going to put LEDs on the inside as well. I haven't quite decided yet, though. It's one of those things where, how much work do I really want to give myself? And how many times do I want to burn my finger with the soldering iron? Oh, and resin, by the way. When you're sanding resin like this, you should have a mask or something on, um, because the dust that comes off of this is not very, very healthy to be breathing in, which I should probably get my mask. I have a big respirator mask that I use when I am spray painting. And hubby says it looks like I'm going to the gas chamber because it has this one thing is a beast. But yeah, it's a lot of fun having to uh, a lot of fun having to sand all these things, and I also have to use rubbing alcohol. And let me tell you, when you have a large quantity of rubbing alcohol in a container and you open that container, the smell is so potent that the first time I smelled it, I was like, I am never doing that again without a mask. And that's actually when I got that big respirator, because the how you clean 3D prints is you clean it in rubbing alcohol, and you have to let it rotate in the rubbing alcohol for like X amount of time. See, I'm lazy, so I got a machine to do that for me, but I still have to put the thing into the container, and that means opening it up, and that's not a whole lot of fun. Not a whole lot of fun at all. So originally this was actually going to be on YouTube, but when I went into my streaming software, I had trouble with it because all of my stuff vanished when I signed into the new account. And then come to find out, the I didn't have, oh my god, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It's a good thing that I have the a subscription to Streamlabs, because if you see up here, where is it? Up here, right there, that bar, that's from Streamlabs. So they're saving me at the moment. And so originally it was supposed to be on YouTube, and then I had a warning pop up, and it's like, oh yeah, you haven't confirmed your YouTube page yet, so we can't let you stream for 24 hours. And I'm like, no, 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 we're not doing that. So I found a way around it. Decided to do the first stream here on YouTube, or Facebook, rather. I could see I got YouTube stuck on my head. That's how you know they pissed me off. I was so aggravated. It's almost as bad. I don't know if you saw one of the first live streams that we did with ADFP. I think we did a client's house, and I had an extremely hard time using Facebook. No, not Facebook. See, getting all mixed up. I had a really hard time using YouTube and connecting to YouTube via the GoPro, with, what was it, straight to YouTube. And so I looked it up after messing with it for a good like half an hour. So we were half an hour late on starting that particular show. And it was because YouTube puts a restriction on you. So if you don't have 1,000 followers, you can't stream to YouTube via mobile if you don't have 1,000 followers. And I'm like, what kind of bull crap is this? Who does that? Who puts that's an insane, that is, especially for like a new channel, that is an insane amount of people that you need just to use a simple mobile feature. You know, and it's not like you're doing anything different than you would be on. You're not doing anything different than you would be with using, like how I'm doing it now. There's no difference. I'm gonna try to move you. Is that a little better? I wanted to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. Yeah, it is crazy. It is. It's very, very crazy. And that's the world of YouTube. That's the world of content creating. If you're a small, channel like me, you're gonna have a hard time growing your audience. When you have these restrictions placed on you. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Like Facebook, though, like I could go onto Facebook and I could do an entire live stream from my cell phone. But YouTube, I can't do that. Makes no sense. So you're actually kind of able to see some of the lining done by the 3D printer. So that is actually a layer that messed up. But luckily, that layer was able to be sanded over because it was bowing out a little bit. And that's one of the problems that I found with 3D printing is you really have to pay attention to the supports that you're doing when you're printing these out. Because if you do it wrong, you're going to have a failed print, and you could have a print like what happened to me this morning. I had something printed out for my board, my pegboard, and the pegboard, it took 8 hours, 8.5 hours to print this stupid thing out, and the last like 20 minutes or so were the finishing lines, and what do you know? I did not have the right amount of supports in that one thing, so the entire thing got thrown out. And like you're talking, when the bottles of resin are about this thick around and about that tall, you're talking that much resin is wasted on making something like that. Oh, I was so mad. I was like, come on. Yeah, no. But it's a love and hate relationship with the 3D printer. I love my 3D printer. Now that I've stepped into the realm of 3D printing, everything is going to be 3D printed for me. Why? Because I'm lazy. Why sculpt when you can have something sculpted for me? No, I'm still gonna sculpt because I torture myself. But yeah, so as I'm going down the grit with this, you'll start seeing some of these. So like if you see some of the pitting, that is also another very common thing that you get on 3D prints. Like no matter how well you put the supports on a 3D print, you're always going to have some sort of imperfection. But you can minimize those imperfections by making sure that your 3D file has no damage to it, and making sure that when you print it, you're printing it in the right direction and you're printing it with the right amount of supports. Because if you don't, you could do what I did this morning and then hate yourself by the end of it. Let me tell you, picking that thing up and taking it off the little bracket thingy, realizing how bad it was and that it was not savable. The tears that shed as I was taking that thing off and putting it into the trash. So, needless to say, it's printing right now as we speak. And I'm watching it like a hawk. Because I'm like, no, you don't. Linda, not today. Not today, Linda. But so when you have like something like this happen, where you have like this one actually isn't too bad. No real pitting. But when you do have in a 3D print pitting, I use this stuff, which is absolutely awesome. It's a 2-part epoxy, and you knead it into a little ball, and you can sculpt with it if you wanted to. I can't remember the working time that you have on it, but when you need to fill in, say a pretty, good size hole, and if you don't fill it in, you're gonna see it in the final product. What you want to do is you use that. I use that, and I use kind of like one of my little sculpting tools, and I just smooth it over. Try to use as little as possible, because the more you use, the more sanding you're gonna have to do. And me and sanding do not get along very well. I don't like sanding at all. Unless I'm doing this kind of sanding. I don't know what it is. Like, when I'm doing the boring stuff and I'm just kind of like going over some of those other, like I'm just going over like little imperfections. That kind of sanding, for some reason, is just really boring to me. But I like this kind of sanding because I like to see how my creation is coming along. And right now, I'm actually very, very happy because I don't see too much pitting. Means I don't think I'm gonna have to do any fills. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have to do any pit. I don't. I don't think so. I'll know more when I clean it up. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna have to do any filling on this one. I think I actually added the right amount of supports. And now that means that I don't have boring sanding in front of me. I don't know what Ellie is doing there in the corner. She's licking. She's licking my bookshelf. Ellie, why are you doing that? What did the bookshelf ever do to you? And normally I would go and get 320. Do I have the 3? Be nice if I did. 120, 120, 120, 80. No. 60. Oh. So normally I would slowly creep up to the 600. Like I would go probably just a couple more grits before I would go straight to the 600, but apparently I don't have that. That sandpaper, so I'm gonna have to wing it. I have some people that are like, why do you go up all the grits like that? And it's like, it makes it a little better, you know, when you kind of start going from one grit to the next. It makes it smoother, at least from what I have found. So this is a very, very, very fine sandpaper. So because of the grit, this produces extremely fine particles. And these kind of particles, like I was saying earlier, where you don't want to breathe in the dust from this. When you get up to the higher grits like this, it's great for the object that you're working on because it's going to make it extremely smooth. It is not good for your lungs. I when I first got the 3D printer, when I ordered it, one of the things that I did first is, you know, I didn't look up how to use it. I looked up things like safety protocols around the printer, what kind of, you know, PPE I should wear during and post printing, you know, when I'm sanding and doing things like that. And I found a lot of people saying, you know, you don't want to breathe this dust in. This dust can make you sick. Especially the fine dust. The finer the dust, the more it can get into your lungs, and you definitely don't want that, not with this stuff. There. But I cut myself a big piece. So I do have other things in the works, as far as how the channel is going to look when I do live streams. So it's going to have a fairly similar setup to how Spirit Talk was. You know, I'm going to have that overlay. I'm going to have the starting soon screen. I'm going to have all of the extra goodies that I had when I was doing Spirit Talk. And that will, I hope the scratching sound from the sandpaper isn't bugging you guys. But yeah, no, I love my 3D printer though. I really do. Like I've said that like 15 times, but it just goes to show how much I really like it. When I first started looking at 3D printers, I had followed one of the people on my personal YouTube channel that I watch. Uh, they use the Anycubic 3D printer. And then I noticed that a bunch of the other people that I watch also use. And so I'm like, well, there's got to be something to this. There's got to be a reason why these guys are using it. And I see. I see. I am a believer. And I'm not a paid. They're not like sponsoring this or paying me to say this. Like, this is just me saying that I love it. I'm gonna have to get like one of those boom arms. Up. Another grit. Well, we go. So what I'm trying to get rid of all of, any lines, anything that will show through the paint, because I don't want any lines to be showing through when I'm painting this, because painting. So I'm now down to, I am actually working on 1200 right now, 1200 grit. I'm gonna do kind of a quick pass with the 1200, and then I am going to start on the other piece. I'm gonna give these kind of like a light sand, but because these are interior things, I'm not really going to worry too much about how it looks, because most of it you're not gonna see anyway. Kind of like cutting corners a little bit. Oh, isn't that sound lovely? Don't you just love the sound of scratching plastic? I tell you, I do not like sound of sanding. I like some form of sanding, I just don't like the sound. I think I got lucky. On this piece, at least. So that ring there, sanded out fairly well, and it filled itself, which is great. That just means that there's gonna be less for me to have to do. But yeah, I had said, I don't know if anybody saw, so the finer the particle is of this stuff, um, the more it can get into your lungs. So this stuff, it's not a good thing to be breathing in. So that's a word to whoever decides that they want to try to do 3D printing. I do have to say though that I love 3D printing. I love the process of 3D printing. And I think what I enjoy about it the most is that I had a lot of experience, growing up in high school. Um, I was in a vocational school and I did drafting. And I learned, and I had said this in the beginning of the channel, but I'm going to kind of elaborate a little more on it. I had learned, things like AutoCAD, um, Revit, um, what is it? 3D Max, which is another Autodesk product. And I have done bits and pieces on Illustrator, InDesign, which is these are Adobe products, as well as some things in Photoshop. Lately, I have been tapping into or trying to learn Blender, which is not an easy thing to learn. I am finding it's very, very hard. But I think why I like 3D printing is because it taps into that creative side of me, and it taps into the knowledge base that I haven't used in years. And it just makes, all of those years in drafting, learning about these programs, a little more worth it. Sadly, like most, I left with a drafting degree in architectural drafting and design. So I graduated with that degree and did nothing with it. Did absolutely nothing with it. I quickly went into the human service field and just never left. So we're going to work our way up to 15. Oh no! Oh, there was an 8. Did I use 8? No, I did a 6. Oh well. I'm gonna cut myself out another long strip. I don't need those. Those ones are too much. Okay. So we are now at, what is it? 150? 1500? So this is basically polishing at this point. When you get up to the higher grits, like I know that when forgers or knife makers or sword makers make swords and stuff like that, like when they're sharpening those blades, they use similar grits to this because this takes off so little material, but it's very, very good for fine work, especially like this where I need this finish to be as flawless as possible, because when I put the gloss coat over this, it will, it will look smooth, because if you look at references on any kind of Pokemon ball, like obviously this one you're not going to be able to see it as well, but when you're looking at Pokemon balls, they're all very shiny and symmetrical, like they don't have flaws to them. Well, here in the real world, we do have flaws. But sanding, if done and employed the correct way, can help get that finish that you're looking for. And in this case, I'm looking for as perfect as I can possibly get. And so this is taken off very, 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 very little material. But what it's doing too is not only is it taking off very little material, but those layers that this print was done in the printer, because they're done in such tiny, tiny, minute layers, what I'm doing is I am doing away with those layers, so that when I go to paint this, I paint it in such a way that it should, with the sanding that I've done, it should be near perfect as far as being smooth goes. 12. I need another. This is there. So I'm probably gonna stream. So this stream might actually go into 3 parts. And the reason that I think that's gonna happen is because I don't want to stream too much longer. Yeah, so this stream was kind of a fluke anyways, because we had that mess up with the programs, things not functioning correctly. So we started this stream late. So because we started it late, so this stream may be split up into 3 parts. One part may be us doing the sanding, and then the other part will be doing painting and assembly. Now, does anybody, so I can paint in 2 different ways. So I have traditional paint that I can just apply with a paintbrush. But I know not everybody has an airbrush like what I have. So I'm curious to find out if anybody wants to see me do this with the airbrush, or if you want to see me do this with a just a regular paintbrush and regular craft paint. And also, if you guys would like to see this done in a different thing other than 3D printing, because again, not everybody has a 3D printer. So if you want to see me make this again using a more accessible material, please let me know. I have no problem, doing this and making it out of material that is accessible to everybody. So I think that that's going to be it for this one. I think I got this pretty smooth. As smooth as I think I'm going to get it. I had the rubbing alcohol on the other side of the room next to the 3D printer. I am so not in the zone today. I am not in the zone. Let's see. Oh. Oh, wow. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, that is so smooth. There's like next to almost no imperfections. Wow. Okay. Now I'm impressed. Like that, because the stuff that I have done and printed already, I haven't gone to this level of sanding with it. So now we're gonna start the process over with this one. So this one, if you look, has a little bit more pitting, a little bit more things that are gonna definitely need to be cleaned up. So I'm gonna have to definitely gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to clean this up, go down the grit like I did with the other one. And I'm going around the print right now, and I'm just kind of knocking back any things that are sticking out a little too much, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to make it so that when I'm sanding, I'm not chewing through my sandpaper, just trying to sand down the things that I could very easily take off with my flush cutter. Oh, and these, by the way, these were like $3, $2 on Amazon. Amazing little tools. I'll put a link in the description as well. So in the description of this video, when I post it to YouTube, you're gonna see the link to the maker of this on Thingiverse. This is not my design. This is something that I got off of Thingiverse, which is a free platform. So I will be putting the link to his page for this on there. Let me tell you that this guy did an amazing job on making this, so I have to give him a nice shout out. So that will be in any of the tools that I've used, as far as like my flush cutters, where, the sandpaper and things like that, I will put in the description. So I'm going to finish sanding these pieces off, and we're going to call it for tonight. And we will pick back up again next week to finish part 2 of this, because this is definitely going to go into 2 parts. To finish part 2 of this, so I'm just going to quickly knock this stuff back. I'm just getting rid of some of like the bigger imperfections. Like if you see there's that a little bit of, those little ball thingies that you see there, like one's right there, there's another one there. Those are from the supports. So what I'm doing is I am kicking those back. But before I did that, I was using the flush cutters to kick those back as far as I could, with them. And that way, it's saving you time on sanding. It's saving you from chewing through a lot of sandpaper, because believe it or not, resin prints can be very harsh on sandpaper. So when you're sanding a resin piece, just be aware that you want to try to kick back all of the high spots first with a flush cutter. If you can do so. If you can't, there's gonna be like areas, say like in the corners of stuff like this, where you have like high detail work, but you have like a little pimple from the supports, and it, like, say this cage was smaller, you might not be able to get in there with the flush cutters, and that's where things like files will come in handy. I use files a lot. I have ones like this. I have a whole other set that's much bigger. And it makes fine detail work so much easier. But yeah, so I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm kicking back all of the high spots. Another piece in a second. I'm going to kick back all of the high spots, and then I'm going to continue working up the grit like I did with the other one. And so, for anybody that didn't see or hasn't seen, this is a Pokemon ball. And this will at some point be given away. I don't know to who yet. And the rules for the giveaway are actually in a post in Facebook, which I will put in the description of this so that you guys can see what the rules are and what you have to do and yada yada yada. And if I have any people here that are watching from overseas, I am very, very sorry. I cannot ship overseas yet. I have not figured out the logistics to that. And I know that it can be a pain in the butt and it can be fairly expensive. So I have to figure out when I do giveaways, I want to make sure that anybody from the the UK or overseas has an ability to take part in any giveaways that I do, which I don't think I'm gonna really do a whole lot of giveaways. The only reason that I'm doing this for this first live stream is because it's like it's the kickoff, it's this channel is brand new, we just started, so I kind of wanna do a little something extra, something special for you guys to be able to enjoy. And so the exact one that I'm working on right now will be the one that's given away. So it's not going to be like any of these other ones. So what you see me sanding and soon painting and all of that is going to be the one that's given away. But anywhere in the United States, I will ship it. I cover the cost of shipping. So it's 100% free for you guys. I will, once I figure out the logistics of everything and how to ship things overseas, I will be doing a separate giveaway for people specifically who are overseas. That way that you guys can take part. And I might do another Pokeball. Or I might do something else entirely. I haven't quite decided how we're gonna do that. But it is in the works. We are looking into the shipping overseas. Wow, this thing has a lot. It's coming out good, just like the other one did. So I guess I can't really complain too much. And so, like I said, all I'm doing is I'm going up the grit. I'm trying to make this as smooth as I possibly can because I don't want any pitting or anything to show up in the painting stage. I want it to be as smooth as I can possibly get it, because to me it's a Pokeball. Come on, like, has anybody ever heard of a lumpy Pokeball? I know I haven't. Oh, excuse me, I need a drink. I might have some filling to this one. I'm not sure quite yet. Right here. Right there. That is a little a little pit. That might come out though when I do the rest of the sanding. The low spot. And that is the kind of stuff that I talk about. Like, that is the kind of stuff that when you are painting and you're in, you know, sometimes like when you do like a black or a gray paint, depending on the color and whether it's matte or a sheen or satin or eggshell or whatever, high gloss, low gloss, especially when you get into the glosses, those really stand out on things. But sometimes, like when you're doing the base coat, you know, like what I'm gonna do is I usually always do either a gray or a black base coat, and it really depends on what color I'm gonna be painting these. Because these are gonna be white, I'm probably gonna do a gray coat over it as opposed to a black. But you might not see the pitting until you go to, you know, either put like a varnish like this on, or is that a varnish? No, that's a lacquer. I have some really high shine lacquer that I'm going to be using on this to seal it up when I do the paint. After I do the paint, I'm going to do a nice coat of lacquer, and that lacquer should really make this thing stand out. I want it high shine, very high shine, very glossy. So I don't know yet though. I haven't quite figured out when I do the painting what I want to do for painting. Do I want to do airbrushing, or do I want to do just traditional? You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to airbrush this. And the reason that I think that is because I want the texture of this to be smooth. I don't want brush strokes. See, and I do have Volgar paint. I think usually goes on pretty smooth. Yeah, I think I'm going to airbrush it. Because I want this to be as smooth as possible. But, you know, like I said, if you guys want to see me make this out of other materials other than the 3D printing, I will make another, I'll either have it in another live stream, which I am hoping to do at least 2 live streams a month with this new channel. So this won't be, you know, the only one that I do. I think I'm going to do a couple a month, and most of them probably won't be projects that are, you know, this involved. I don't want to do things that 15. Sorry, I just got to figure out what I'm doing. I don't want to do things that are gonna be too hard for the rest of you to do. So I think the live stream projects that I'm gonna be doing, yeah, products. The live stream products we're gonna be doing. The live stream projects, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it so that you guys can follow along and you could make what I'm doing. I think that's what the live streams are going to be. It's going to be about connecting with you guys, and we can do little projects. I almost said it again, products. My brain is in 15 different areas tonight. But I think I'm going to do live streams that are going to be like follow-alongs where I'll put up in advance the files that you're going to need, whether it's going to be things that you're going to have to print out or material that you're going to have to get. But I think I'm going to make it so that the live streams are things that you guys will be able to follow along with. I think I have to kick back those edges. I don't like that. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to make these live streams about following along with me so that, and I'm sorry that this live stream, so this is part 2 because the first one failed. So, but I'm sorry that this live stream is going so long. I never intended it to go this long. But we got off to a rocky start. We had issues connecting. And then when I finally did get connected, I wound up talking about random things for a little too long. So the next live stream that I do is probably going to be next week or maybe even the week after. Right now I do have 2 projects going on that are really taking a lot of my time. And I'm trying to get those projects done and out on the YouTube channel fairly soon. I am hoping that I will have something up on the channel as soon as maybe April. Providing I stick to my schedule that I gave myself. I have a schedule that I have to follow. And so 2 projects are in the works. One of them is the first project that is going to be posted up on, besides this live stream. The first project I'm hoping that it's going to be out in April. And then I'll have other things too that I'll be doing. But this project here is going to take more than 2 live streams. But next week when I do the other half of this live stream, I will jump right into it. So that we can get these things knocked back, some of the sanding points that need to be knocked back. So right now I'm just focusing on the outer shell. This is the grit that I missed last time. This is the 800. So, yeah, so the next stream will be picking up where we left off here. We'll sand some of these, kick these back a little bit. I just want to get done with this one so that we have the outer shell ready to go for next stream. And providing that I can get everything done on the next stream in a reasonable amount of time, maybe I will be able to get you guys everything done in that one stream. So we're still gonna have the painting to do, we still have to do the sanding on these ones, and then the electronics. So, and I haven't quite decided if I want to put lights on the inside. So I'm very, very curious to hear you guys' thoughts on that. If you want to see me put little LEDs inside this Pokeball so that when you open it up, it goes, like, you know, the Ark of the Covenant or something. Let me know in the comments, you know, comment down below. Tell me if you guys want to see me do some more LEDs inside the Pokeball. So we're up to 800 grit. We're almost done with the 8. We are done with the 8. Okay. So what's the next step here? Well, that's 6. That's 15. I don't know what that one is. That's 12. I think the next step is 12. Yep, 12. We just did 8. This by far is not the messiest project that I've worked on. Technically, there are 3 projects in the products. See, I keep trying to say products. There are technically 3 projects that I have going on. The third one is not going to be coming out for a long time. That is a very, very, very long project. It will be done in a series. And after I get enough footage, I'll release. So it's probably going to be done in 3 parts. So there's probably going to be a part 1, part 2, part 3. And in part 1, it'll show the concept down to maybe some of the basics of what's going to go on. Maybe some cutting out of things, but this... When I took this project on, I knew that I was getting in pretty deep. And let me tell you, I'm in deep with this project. It's gonna take a lot to get done, and it's gonna take me forever to get it done. But I wanted to bring you guys some really good content, so I figured that taking on a massive project like this, you know, I think I think that it's going to be worth it in the long run, because you guys are going to get to see something that spans over the course of possibly months and get to see it start to finish. So this is the 1500, and once I'm done with this, I'm gonna end the stream, because this went for almost 2 hours. That's a fairly long time for a stream. So I'm gonna finish this up, and then we are gonna sign off, and I will see you guys again very, 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 very soon, so that we can finish this and get it painted and get it, the electronics done, and then assembled as I throw it. If it was flawless before, it's not flawless anymore. Mr. Sophie, you throw your projects. Yes, yes I do. Why do you do that? Don't you love your projects? No, no I don't. Okay, I think I'm gonna... Rubbing alcohol. Back the dust. Oh my god, yeah. Yep. Yep. Almost as flawless as the other one. Now, if you saw when there was a lot of pitting. A lot of pitting. You could see where the supports were. And I just want to show you what, taking your time and going down the grit, what that can do. So that, my friends, is an almost perfect sphere. No real pitting that you can see. It's going to cover up nicely with the paint. That's beautiful. They're both beautiful. I can't wait to see these painted. So, thank you for sticking with me. I know this went on for way longer than anticipated. I will see you guys back here. I want to say either next week or the week after. I'll let you guys know in advance when that's going to be. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe to our new YouTube channel. I know that this is a pretty big jump from what I was doing before to now doing crafts. So I hope some of you guys will stick with me. I know that this might not be a cup of tea of a lot of people, and that's fine. It's completely fine. I understand. Not everybody's into this. But yeah, so remember, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that fun stuff. And I will see you all next week or the week after. Thank you guys. Good night.